The Kamel series has a reputation for being organized chaos. The cars are difficult to drive, and the lap time disparity between the two is among the widest in all of iRacing's official multi-class series. They already provide a challenge through that alone, but toss Motorosports into the mix, and it can go a bit haywire sometimes. Who will be able to keep a cool head today? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 11 of the iRacing Kamel GT series, and you'll see it all live here on the global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Sean Crackers Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Canadian Tire Motorsports Park is a time capsule of a track. Very few changes have been made to the layout since it was first built. In an age of chicanes and runoff-like parking lots, it certainly stands out. Let's head to our track guide to learn more about it. Welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, or as most fans know it, Motorosports. This circuit to the northeast of Toronto is a rarity in the world of racing today. Safety standards and the desire for more overtaking opportunities has caused most tracks to alter their layouts over the years. But Motorosports is still exactly the same footprint as it was when it was built in 1961. A mere 11 turns, most of which are high-speed sweepers, are dispersed among 2.5 miles, or just shy of 4 kilometers. The only alterations to the turns have been to the runoff areas, but otherwise the radii, camber, and elevation changes are all untouched. Because cars have continued to get faster through the passage of time, it's made this place a fearsome beast to tackle. Clayton Corner is particularly notorious. The blind crest and steep plunge combined with incredibly high speeds to create a punishing combination. Without many heavy braking zones, passing is often difficult. And other than using the slipstream up the Mario Andretti straight, the only other option is usually Moss Corner. This double apex hairpin is named after Sir Sterling Moss for his suggestion to redesign it after he saw its initial layout. While the plateau-like middle portion and critical exit onto the backstretch certainly give it plenty of character, the heavy compression at the bottom of the hill that causes a frighteningly short braking zone makes this one not for the faint of heart. Formula One, USAC, and IMSA have all taken their turns here, but recently NASCAR has joined the fray by holding a round for the Truck Series. Old school fans can rejoice for the enduring popularity of this bastion of untouched tarmac, but any motorsports enthusiast can't help but smile at the thrill Motorosport continues to provide. Well, Adam, if ever there was a track that drivers and fans needed to mark on their calendars, I'd say this is one.
Yeah, for sure, Joe. Now, I know what you viewers are thinking. Looking at that track map, this 2.45 mile, 3.95 kilometer, 10-turn track doesn't look that hard. Well, I promise you, my friends, Motorosport is a challenge unlike any other in racing. With almost constant sweeping turns and changing elevation, along with a barely 3-car wide track surface and a lap delta between classes of over 10 seconds per lap, and you have a recipe for some serious challenge for our drivers today. The Audis will struggle all day with grip, sliding their front tires up and downhill as they try to manage their lines and temps. The Nissans will feel more at home here, but will struggle with power application, and they will also be struggling with the changing elevation as well, and traffic management. With the amount of blind crests and fast approaches the Nissans have here, the Audis often get shoved around, and due to the elevation changes, there's not much the Nissans can do if they get surprised by an Audi offline. The long and short of it is that I'm expecting a lot of comings together and a lot of unhappy drivers today, Joe.
Well, hopefully there'll be at least a few of them happy when all is said and done, because there is a championship at hand, and one of them that is looking likely to be happy is Fabian Gerber. Now, you see 24 points, and we've got 2 rounds. You think 25 points for a win. There's still a decent shot, especially as a chaotic track as this, but keep in mind, they have 2 drop weeks, and from our calculations, Fabian only needs 9th or better, and he will clinch it due to those drop weeks. If anything, if you look back, you've got a tight fight between Jamie Hall and Cy Andra, who's still clawing his way forward, with Nick Mukanos rounding out your top 5. So 3rd and 4th, really some of the closest battles in our prototypes. Now, we've also got some interesting stuff going on in the GTOs here, Adam, but not the top.
Yeah, no, unfortunately for Joni Kaisen, Yuko Leskala likely has secured the championship in the GTO GTOs, with Yoni 42 points back, and I believe Yuko still has some drop points left to feed in. That being said, Yoni Kaishinen has none, and Reed Miller is only 14 points behind. So if Yoni gets a DNF or a bad finish like he did last week, that's going to leave Reed Miller in second place. And if Yoni has a bad enough race, he can end up all the way back in fifth, because look how close it is between Reed, Esco, and Ben. That is just about 22 points between those three drivers. And then Miguel Castro is only 12 points behind that in sixth position. So once again, these last couple steps on the podium, they're not decided yet, Joe.
I'm sure that'll be important to our drivers. Now, for today's event in particular, we are in the penultimate round, as we mentioned, 40-minute race this time compared to last week. So we had the Enduro out of the way. It's back to the normal sprint format. It's an open setup series, but a lot of the drivers do share their sets just to try and make sure newcomers can try and get up to speed easily. But they have no fast repair, and damage is easy to come by at a track like this, so that'll be important to keep in mind as the race progresses. You can see the penalties that they can accrue if they get too many incidents out there on a track. Now, Fabian Gerber and Tobias Gerber, it's becoming almost tradition at this point. They've been on the front row together. I've lost count of how many times. They're there today in the prototypes. Yuko Leskala is up in the top spot of the provisional poll of the GTOs. We're watching Sai Andra in the meantime, who's jumped up to fourth on his first lap. He's got one more to go, and wow, he's very close behind Tobias and Fabian Newbluth in front of him.
He's got a lot of work to do. There's Dennis Schoening, who's going to come in and complete a lap. Miguel Castro currently crossed the line in sixth position. His second lap is not faster. One driver I'm keeping my eye on is Ove Trengren, currently in third position in the GTOs. There's Jamie Hall, who crosses the line with a faster time, 1:04.8. He crosses the line into fifth position. Ove Trengren just got bumped out by Maxime de Thomason, actually, who has a very good qualifying time here at Mosport.
Wow. I mean, we've seen him run in top 5 recently, but clearly he has got this one on lock. Reed Miller, in the meantime, jumps himself on his second lap onto the second row in third. What about Trangrade on that second lap? Can he go any quicker? He can. It's about a tenth faster, and that is going to put him on the front row, second place for the 13.
Yeah, not many people who can challenge him behind. Roman Pavlowski and Pablo Rangel. Looks like Pablo Rangel is actually not going to set a time here. Jonathan Rickard bails out of his second lap. So we're starting to run out of people on qualifying times. Martin Krajcik has yet to set a time. Just crosses the line with a 105.8. There we go. It did look like it counted that time. So 14th currently on the track right now. He's got some time to make up, but not a lot of time to do it necessarily. But he will get that second lap in.
And Tupola right now running in 12th in his class. He's coming across to put his second lap in. And he makes up quite a bit of time, about half a second quicker. And that, unfortunately, though, will not gain him any position still. Looks like he's getting the hang of things as we watch Roman Pavlowski now. First lap didn't count, must have had an off track, and critically manages a clean one on the second time around, good enough for fifth. Now, something that I don't think we mentioned yet, Sai Andra onto the front row, displaced Tobias Gerber, denying the brothers of that lockout.
Oh man, it's going to be very interesting to see that, especially here. We currently have Martin Krajcik still coming around to try and complete another lap. Joseph Mudrak's doing some practice himself in the GTPs. Here's Krajcik's second time around. A little bit wide at the apex, but let's see whether or not he can improve his time. It is improved by about 3.5 tenths. That's going to move him up to 13th.
2-spot gain. That'll certainly give him at least something. Mudrak, first lap was 5th place. This is a driver that has also been somewhat new this season and has shown himself to be steadily improving. Can he get onto the front 2 rows? That'll be something really special here for the number 11. Let's see what the Buckeyes got in store. A 104.8 was his first lap through. Enough time to complete this second one. That'll be his last attempt, taking it all the way out to the edge of the White's corner. Oh, but he's shy by less than a tenth, and he doesn't go any quicker.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of a slip up there on the exit of the corner, which meant that he ended up having to take the last corner just a little bit slower on the exit due to the tire slip, and that lost him all those about 4 tenths that he had gained on that lap up to that point.
35 drivers out here today. It is quite a packed field, and our field is indeed set as all the qualifying times are in. So let's go through that starting order for today. Fabian Gerber puts it on the pole yet again. Cy Andra looking to deny him. He might be out of it in terms of the championship, but I'm sure he'd love to at least equal him on wins. Tobias Gerber still looking for that first victory, is starting from third. Fabian Jungbluth, P4 for him, with Joseph Mudrack, phenomenal qualifying in fifth. Laust Olsen starts P6 with Jamie Hall in seventh. Then it's Nick Schneider all the way down in eighth today. He was vying for wins earlier this season, but doesn't look likely today. Nick Mukanos will be starting from ninth, and Matthias Hovdahl, another one unusually low, in 10th position. Michael de Turk starts 11th, Marty Ollie in 12th, and you got Martin Krajcik, who we followed on his last qualifying laps, gets 13th. Dennis Shaning will be P14, Bryce Calusa 15th, and Jacob Leon to his outside in 16th. Last couple cars, Jonathan Rickard 17th, Jeff McConey 18th, Hideki Koivisto 19th, and Timo now rounds out the 20-car prototype field.
Hugo Lesko is going to take pole in the Audis with Ove Trangrade starting alongside him. Look for those two to battle over the course of the race today. Maxime de Thomason, with I believe his best qualifying of the season, puts himself in third ahead of Reed Miller in fourth. Roman Pavlowski with a great qualifying as well puts himself in a fifth position, with Yuri Giesen coming home, actually starting off in sixth. We got Miguel Castro starting off seventh with Ben Laughter in eighth position. Then Jim McGill in ninth. Look for all of those drivers to be fighting next to each other. Then we also have Jamie Hamill-Smith in 10th. Brian Shanahan's going to start off 11th place, with Oren Laskin starting off in 12th. Mika Tupola starting off 13th. Ricardo Tolle 14th, and Pablo Rangel is going to round out your 15-car Audi field and your 35-car field for the race today.
So I have to wonder, we've got way more than 9 cars in our prototypes here today, Adam, and Gerber, as I mentioned, just needs to do that or better to round up the championship. If you're him, do you not fight too hard? Because I suspect that Cy Andra is going to be fired up today to try and do a little bit better and get another victory under his belt.
Well, if I'm Fabian Gerber and I'm starting on that pole position, pole's a great spot to start in this race. You've got a great run down into the first turn. And if I'm Fabian Gerber, I'm taking it down there as hard as I can and trying to put Cy Andra behind me, because I think trying to follow Cy Andra through the traffic is going to put me at more risk than being the leader. So my idea is, rather than not taking a risk at the beginning, I would take a huge risk at the beginning, so hopefully it becomes less of a risk later on.
Now, we've talked about Leskola wrapping things up by our calculations. You have to consider, too, the number of wins that guy has racked up this season. 8 wins out of the 10 rounds that we've run, with Kajanen taking 2 of them himself. So we watch them now roll off behind the pace car and take off on our full pace lap here around Mosport. It was quite pretty in our practice here before this race, but unfortunately it looks like we've got a very cloudy sky out there today. And that's brought out very cool track temperatures. Kind of typical what you'd expect, though, for a Canadian race.
Yeah, 77's not too bad. We got 5 miles an hour from winds out of the southwest, so that won't really be affecting them at all. But 78% humidity, that's going to make this track just a little bit slicker, make those tires just a little bit slicker. They'll be able to grip earlier, but then they'll tend to wear out just a little faster on this slick surface. So it's something to keep in mind, but it shouldn't be affecting them too much, and the lower track temperatures will definitely help with the grip.
I'm sure the Nissans will love those fast corners. What about the tires on the GTOs, though? Those things love to understeer. Is there anything the drivers can do to try to preserve them over the course of the race today?
Just don't take the corners too hard, especially if you feel yourself that you're pushing out. Just lift off a little bit. Get that car back underneath you so it can turn once again. You want to be very careful, especially with the left front tire around this circuit, around this clockwise circuit we have going on. It's one of the most difficult places to manage your tire temperatures. Fortunately, it's a 40-minute race versus the 60-minute race we had last week at Phillip Island, so that's going to make it so that they don't have to manage it as much, but it's still something that can come in and plague you very difficult, and expect Ove Trangrade to be putting pressure on Yuka Leskola to try and make him make a mistake.
Until you finish your sentence, I thought you were going to say, just don't take the corners. We call that a rage quit. As we get ready to go racing here today for 40 minutes, because the pace car pulls in, and Fabian Gerber has control. Green flag is out, and Gerber is off. He gets the good jump you talked about. He's ahead of Syandra. Pretty single file for the top few in this prototype class as they come up to the very dangerous Clayton corner. What's this going to look like? So far, so good for much of the field, and I think we are clean. Let's head to the GTOs.
GTOs started all the way back on the straightaway, so now we have the GTOs all stacked up as they're crossing the line just now. Yuko Lesko held them up quite a bit there, but look at this, Ove Trigger right on his rear bumper, and Maximilian Thomason's actually continued to hold that lead over Reed Miller and Roman Pawlowski as they go down into one.
Now, they're coming up to Ricardo Tolle.
Oh, we got someone off.
Oh, no, that's Castro. Looks like Castro with a poor start here. He manages to keep it out of the tires, thankfully, and everybody else still running. So we take a look at our prototypes leader, and we're going to have a side-by-side battle into turn 8 through the S's. Andre's going to have the inside through White's corner. That's the last turn in this sequence, and he's going to claim the top spot. Gerber still in second place now, just in front of his brother Tobias.
Well, I think Gerber gave it a shot. I definitely think he did try to get up there and stay ahead of Syandra, but Sy showing his aggressiveness there. Fabian now is definitely going to fall in behind.
Up at the front of the GTOs, Leskala ahead of Ove Trangrade. You may have noticed that we've seen Ricardo Tolle dropping down the order on our timing tower. That is because I was just about to say he started from pit lane. He came out before the field as he was not quite supposed to, but that is a gentleman's agreement, if you will. And he, I guess, just missed the memo, unfortunately. Thankfully, he's still a gentleman as he dropped towards the back of the field, trying to put himself in the correct position. We're watching from the Norwegian, Ove Trangrade already pulling a gap to the Thomason behind them and getting himself well clear while putting pressure on the number 3.
Yeah, I expect Ove to do this all day. He's going to try and put that pressure on Yuko. Yuko, though, as usual, has a very pointy car. What I mean by that is that the car tends to be able to point towards the center of the corner and rotate very well at low speed or medium speed. And what it does is it burns off your tires a little bit faster, but it can make it so that you can make these sharp corners a lot more aggressively and get a good exit like we just saw right there. As we see Syandra putting in the fastest lap of the race. He's already pulled a 1.2 seconds over Fabian Gerber.
He is just looking like lightning here early in this race, and I suspect he really wants this gap now because they're going to come upon that traffic quite quickly, probably within the next 2 or 3 laps. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead in the GTOs is still quite tight, and for third place, don't forget that Thomason is still being run down by Reed Miller.
We're going to take a look at this. Reed Miller actually gets a bad exit off the final corner, so it's going to back him up a little bit into 1. But it looks like Reed Miller, as usual, very consistent, seems to practice just making sure that he can get around here fairly cleanly. But here he comes up to the back of Maximilian Thomason as they sweep down through this long left-hander. This is where the Audis really struggle, but the compression helps turn the car. But Reed getting right to the back of Maximilian. Maximilian's actually off the apex just a little bit. Reed Miller pokes his nose in, can't find anything.
Looks like we may have had a wreck from Timo now. We'll try and look into that and see what happened a little later on. But look at how tight this is between the 22 and the 9. Early apex for the Thomason. Can he get a clean run off the second apex, though? That's the critical one, heading onto the Andretti straight. I think the slipstream for Miller is going to be critical. Oh, he missed a shift.
That's so easy to do in these Audis. Missing that shift, that gearbox just tends to throw you neutrals all the time. Reed Miller's going to lose this particular opportunity to get by. And I think he's going to regret that because the Audis, the Nissans are starting to catch up, and they should catch this front group in the next 2 laps. So he's got to be real careful here. And also, he's got to be careful. Look behind him. We're riding on board with this man now. Roman Pawlowski has joined this fight. If Reed Miller doesn't get by soon, he's going to be in trouble.
That's a good point. Any sort of attempt he makes can potentially open the door to Pawlowski. So he's got to be on his toes as they come over the crest into Clayton. Look how blind this corner is, and it's quite fast as they plunge down the hill trying to get those tires to grip up. switching across, then braking for Quebec. In the background, you'll catch a glance of the prototype of Sion, who's already overtaken Tupola and quickly coming up to Castro and Shanahan.
Castro and Shanahan are currently battling for the 11th position. They're not going to want to give up the spot. Unfortunately, it's a decently long straight here, but Shanahan's going to have to go to the apex. This is going to block off Cy, who makes a nice move to the outside. Good work from Syandra to manage that traffic well. And now they get to the most difficult part of the track for both of these vehicles. They sweep through and get back onto the front straightaway. Syandra's got some room to work, and he's left Fabian Gerber in the dust.
Yeah, Gerber got caught behind through Moss hairpin. As we take a look at that now, look behind him, my goodness. That is Tobias Gerber, followed by Jungbluth, Mudrak, Olsen, and Jamie Hall, pretty much all in line. This is going to be a bit chaotic as they approach.
Oh, Fabian he's getting held up here. He's going to almost go 3 wide through the final corner. He ducks out of it. Smart play there. That was Pablo Rangel and Jim McGill who were battling, but now Tobias is right up Fabian's rear bumper, or rear wing rather. They don't have bumpers in the Nissans, but this is proving to be very difficult to navigate through these Audis today for Fabian.
A lot of patience needed to be displayed. That one exchange has pushed it up to almost 5 seconds for Syandra. My goodness, he is continuing to weave through. He has little pressure from behind, so all he has to do is pick and choose his way through to Thomason, put offline. Is this going to allow Miller to maybe make an attack? He gets side by side, but he's looking all the wrong way around, looking the long way past, opens the door for Pawlowski, but he can't get his foot in the door.
He's going to have to get the power down here. Him and Roman are going to have to. Reedville is going to take the outside, and it looks like we had a big wreck of the Nissans in the back of the pack, featuring Bryce Calusa and Nick Picanos.
We'll get back to that in a second. Nope, looks like we're looking at it now. He's going to get it going. Still side by side here as we are on turn 8 into the S's, and second place in the prototypes is now with them. He's got to once again just wait and look for the moment as he gives up tons of time to the leader, to Thomason. Looks like he's got a little bit of better momentum. 3 wide, and Reed Miller goes off. He's hard into the wall. Is that his championship hopes?
It's still chaos though up ahead of them with Tobias Gerber and Joseph Mudrak, and they're still battling through there. Look at this chaos. Tobias gets forced off track. He hasn't hit anything yet, but he's into the tires now.
And to Thomason as well. Yuri Geisen. They're just dropping like flies through Clayton Corner. Holy cow.
Oh, this is what I feared. Oh my goodness, we had another wreck. I believe that was Jeffrey McConey. Oh, it's still chaos though. Look at this battle. Maximilian Thomason's still recovering, and he's got even more GTPs to deal with.
It's been an absolute chain reaction here. Miguel Castro, remember, who went off in the first lap in the second corner, has got himself up to 9th with that, taking advantage of everybody else's woes.
Joe, man, how are they going to navigate through this corner? It's so slow for everybody. Oh, they make it through. Now they've got contact. That was Hideki Koivisto and Jonathan Ricard who got into each other.
I think it was Jacob Leon, actually, in the other one, but Koivisto, unfortunately, is off track. We're going to take one more look at this.
This is simple miscommunication, I believe, as they exit the corner. Hideki Koivisto going for that apex. Didn't realize Jacob was still there. Ends up making contact and spinning into the wall.
Reed Miller, sadly, is DNF now. We're taking a look at Mudrak, who is up to 4th, gaining a position from all of that melee. And he's on the back of Fabian Jungbluth, seeing if he can find his way up onto the podium.
Yeah, he's trying to make it up there. Once again, I can report that Yuri Giesen had an off going down through the sweeping turn 2 of this course, but look at these guys as they battle onto the back straightaway. Hideki Koivisto has taken his toe, but yeah, Jamie Hall is trying to catch up to the back of these guys. Nissans don't quite have a long enough straightaway here to really affect the pass unless you're tucked in right behind a guy. But look at this, Jamie's going to make the move anyway.
Wow, way deep into the corner for Joseph Mudrak, and he's not going to let Jamie Hall have that one. I wonder if Jamie's got that thing trimmed out the way he gained on the number 11, unless Mudrak is sporting a little bit of damage. They cycle back around to start lap 9 already. That's what Jungbluth needed. That distraction between Joseph and Jamie has put them behind by almost a second.
Absolutely. Syandra up to a 7-second lead over Fabian Gerber in the GTPs. Yuko Leskala up to a 2-second lead over Ove Trangrade in the GTOs. And it looks like Sai, has he had a problem? He's slow.
It looked like I think he outbraked himself into Moss Hairpin, so that was an unforced error, but he caught it. And the question is, he rode over the curb. Hopefully he didn't damage the underside of the car doing that.
We can take a look at P6 in the P7 rather in the GTPs. This is a close battle between Laust Olsen, Matthias Hovdahl, and Martin Krajcik, and they have Nick Schneider just up the road as well. And they have Michael Deturk, who's actually joined this battle as well. So quite a few drivers battling as they get into the last portion of this race. Matthias Hovdahl, we know he loves to trim out those machines. So does Nicholas Schneider. So I'm looking at those two as the guys who are probably running lower downforce around here. Laust Olsen tends to run higher downforce, so he can be a little bit more pointy to the corners, and here they go through one.
And this is where we should see Laust gain on him if he's got more downforce than Schneider. You can see Schneider pulled quite a bit of a gap as we ride on board with Hovdahl. This is where he should struggle as well if our knowledge about his preferences are true. Coming through Quebec after the first 10 minutes of this race, and then they hit the hard braking from Moss corner. Didn't gain as much as I would have expected from Olsen. Here comes another of our GTOs, so Oren Laskin up in front of them. I think they're going to catch him at a good time, though, here along the Andretti Straight.
Yeah, well, let's see whether or not Matthias Hovdahl can make this move, because he's definitely gaining time on Laust Olsen, especially tucked in right behind his wing. There we see Oren Laskin making that move, getting moved around on the outside, but nope, it doesn't look like Laust was able to make that move there, and Nicholas Schneider just was up ahead, and Matthias Hovdahl just had to tuck in behind.
Certainly gained a lot of time as Martin Krajcik just got overtaken by Deturk behind them. There you can see in the background the 16 sneaking to the inside in the final few corners and managing to get himself a little higher into the top 10.
A pretty brave move there through the final corner. Actually pushed Krajcik a little bit offline, so Krajcik had to back out, but assertive. I don't think Krajcik's going to like it, but he got the job done.
Digging Michael Deturk's paint scheme that he's put on. I think that's a new one, I want to say. Very, very new wave, I guess you could say. As the number 16 takes it around Moss Corner, looks to try and shoot off of it. Let's look a little bit ahead of them to Hovdahl once again. In the 4, who's still working on Laust Olsen. I don't think he's as close this time, though, so I'm not sure that we're going to see a pass. Let's see as he starts to gain, and then they hit the corner down into the S's. Yep, that's just not going to work.
Yeah, an early apex ain't going to work through there either to carry speed. And that's where you can see the difference between Laust Olsen and Hovdahl's setup. So you can see, look at that. That's some understeer that Hovdahl's dealing with through the final turn. And that's just because he doesn't have quite as much front wing in that thing as Laust does. He's just pretty much just wheeling it on throttle alone through those sections of the corner. So that's where you're seeing Laust Olsen pull ahead.
Just a quick update here. We've lost Timo Now, Nick Mukanos, Reed Miller, and Bryce Calusa. Those are our drivers that have already DNF'd today. Otherwise, we've still got 31 runners on the track right now. Still plenty full of a field. They go by Mika Tupola, who's going to let them through. This actually might help Hovdahl. Look at this. Yes, he is tucked right underneath that rear wing.
Hovdahl with a good exit, but so does our other driver of Laust Olsen. Look at this. Hovdahl's got to run. Laust Olsen's going to stay to the inside. Hovdahl's going to have to do this around the outside, and I'm not sure if he has the downforce to do it here. Let's see whether he sends it.
Side by side. Yes, he does. Straight into turn 8, and Hovdahl snatches up 7th with that move.
That's great. Great move there. Just a lot of trust in the car. He just throws it in there at a little bit faster than he probably wanted to do with the downforce to make sure that the downforce was on that car in order to push through.
Let's take a glance at our leaders in the GTOs. Leskala still charging forward, leading the way, and Trankrate's keeping him honest. 1.5 seconds between them. Now, I know that probably looks like quite a bit of distance between them, but I'm trying to think the last time we had a driver that was able to keep it this close to Leskala.
Well, also, Obe Trangrade was underneath a second to Yuka Leskala just about a lap ago, so Trangrade is definitely keeping him honest, and I think Yuka Leskala is struggling a little bit with the traffic. Now, Obe Trangrade is going to want to try and get a little bit closer, but it sure looks like Yuka Leskala's setup is really helping himself right now.
Had an accident for Jamie Hall off the track at Moss Corner. I don't think he hit anything. I think he's going to get away with this, but let's take a look here. I suspect this was traffic involved. You can see it down the hill. Yeah, already the car looking a little bit loose as he's trying to pick his way past. Poor Thomason's car looking worse for the wear.
Yeah, it looks like he caught him right on the apex there and then clips. Let's see whether or not... yeah, just clipped the inside curve just a tiny bit, put him offline, and at Moss, offline means off track.
Yep, and plenty of drivers went on by in that exchange, so lost a number of positions. He's still running, and he's still in 10th, but he's got some work to do. As we look up at Joseph Mudrack. Now, Hovdahl, now that he's gotten past Olsen, he's quickly closing on Nick Schneider, who himself is trying to challenge on Mudrack here in P4. They're on to the backstretch one more time as we watch from on the roof of Matthias.
Quite frankly, this is what I would expect with these two guys who run lower downforce in these GTPs. And by lower downforce, I mean they run as little downforce as they can get away with here. They're catching up to Yuri Giesen and Jamie Hamill-Smith, as well as Ben Laffer, who are in the top 10 of this GTO field. It's going to hold them up. That was really close from Mudrack and Jamie Hamill-Smith. Nick Schneider's going to go around through the inside. Jamie Hamill has to back out of it, which means Yuri Giesen's going to get the pass done. Matthias Hovdahl going to look to the inside of one to sneak by there. Holy smokes, that was close.
Absolutely, and they're going to go on either side of Ben Laffer as they head into Clayton Corner. Ben just trying to stay out of the way. Hovdahl then gets through him. You know, we were talking about this before the race, how much experience counts in this series, and those drivers just knowing where to put the car as Mudrack has a slow exit out of Quebec, and here goes Nick Schneider. He is going to get into fourth with that small mistake from the 11.
The question is, can Mudrack get him back on the straightaway? How trimmed out is Mudrack? He's got a decent exit, but look at this. Hovdahl's also tucked up behind him, so this could be very interesting. Looks like Hovdahl's got the pace on Mudrack right now. You're going to see Hovdahl appear, I believe, on the right side. He's going to sneak it up the inside here, and there he goes. Lasts
fast, and the 4 is up to 5th. Still chasing Schneider. He could find himself within 4th place. This is Roman Pawlowski in front of them, causing a little bit of a checkup. And he's moving to the inside, trying to make it clear which side he wants them to go around. All of them easily taking the wayward line coming through turn 1.
Yeah, just a little bit of a loose moment there from Nicholas Schneider on the final corner. He's able to save it. Matthias Hovdahl backed off to make sure he didn't run into him. Lost a little bit of time.
Just outside the podium for this group. Another one they're coming up to. This is 2nd place now in the GTOs. Trangrade, wow, he must have lost a ton either with a mistake or some traffic errors or something, because he's 4 seconds behind Leskala at this point. Now they're going to catch him at just the right spot here to make an easy pass along the straight. Yeah, Obe Trangrade just losing touch, unfortunately. There's the lap breakdown, and yeah, Obe Trangrade over almost a second slower than Yuka Leskala on that last lap. Oh my goodness, look at the battle ahead though between Nicholas Schneider and Matthias Hovdahl. They're duking it out. Practically a dogfight as they weave back and forth trying to figure out where to place the car down into turn 8, but Schneider retains P4 for the time being. Hovdahl is looking feisty today, starting from 10th on the grid. That qualifying doesn't seem to be representative of what his race pace is here. There they go past Yuka Leskala and Matthias Hovdahl, and they take a poor line as they go through the corner. Ends up having to back off quite a bit to make sure he doesn't slide off track there. We're watching Hovdahl's hands right now as he goes through these corners. He seems to have the car a little bit more underneath him than he did when he was trying to pass Lars Olsen. He's trying to hang on to Nicholas Schneider, who also has a trimmed out machine. They're going to catch Oren Laskin at probably the right time. Just as they go onto the straightaway, the Audi will get a better jump, and then they can both go by. And Schneider get a tiny bit of a tow in the first part of the stretch as well. looks like just popping out from behind him. Hovdahl sees the same opportunity. Here we go again. Hovdahl with that car, just a bullet in the straight line, is going to be able to almost get side by side. Then tries the outside move once again. Can he keep his nose in? No, he's going to get chopped off in 9.
Great move by Schneider, just to fade just a little bit there towards the outside of the corner, making sure. Oh, we've had a wreck behind. Mudrack and Kraytrick and Olsen.
Mudrack and Olsen indeed off in turn 9. Let's take a look at what happened as Olsen spins it out yet again, trying to get it going. And this was traffic, unfortunately. Poor Laskin, he kept the predictable line, but...
yeah, he was just going for his apex, and Joseph Mudrack read it wrong. He thought he had the move done, but he was not. He really wasn't up the inside quite yet, and, I mean, in defense of Mudrack, he was going to have to slam on the brakes real hard to get by if he wanted to make that work. Ove Traingrade just slipping by these guys now.
Mudrack actually getting some air. As we come back live, you see Olsen back moving at 11th. But here we go again for the battle for 4th. Hovdahl is closer this time. He's going to be much farther up alongside him, and he is going to dive through. Hovdahl is absolutely fearless.
Yeah, Schneider actually gave that position up. It looks like he backed off just a little bit early for that corner. I think with Hovdahl on the warpath that he is, Schneider was concerned that he might make contact with these guys, and it's possible that it was holding him up to battle. So Schneider just moves over, lets Hovdahl by, and now can try and hang on to him as they try and get up to Fabian Gerber, only 3 seconds up the road.
Brian Jungbluth, yeah, not too far up. Jungbluth to be the first one that he catches. Based on Hovdahl's pace, I think that he might have it over Jungbluth. I was trying to check the times as you were talking to see what it looks like. It's always hard to tell with the traffic because that can weave back and forth so easily. Oh, he's going to get stuck behind Pablo Rangel here.
If we could get a replay of Jamie Hall just about 15-20 seconds ago, he just had a big save, actually. And that's Martin Kraytrick that we just saw off there. He actually just went off at Moss. But right about here, we're going to see Jamie Hall. Look at that. The car wants to come out from underneath it. He jams on the brakes just a little bit there and manages to save the car. This is something that's really hard to do in the Nissan.
Come on board. Quick hands. Nicely done. Had just enough track to keep it together. If he would have touched that grass, I think it'd have been lights out.
One battle I want to look at in the GTOs is between Ben Lafter and Yuri Giesen. These guys battling for 4th position. They were separated by lap traffic for a while, but Ben and Yuri are now tucked in with each other. Ben Lafter with a much better Moss Corner exit. Interesting development for our top drivers in the GTOs. McConey, unfortunately, just made a little contact with Ove Traingrade, but I think they're able to get away with it. Oh, Mudrack's off again, Joe.
No, and
this car is too damaged.
He's S's again.
Yeah, he's gonna have to take this thing to the pits. I think he's got too much damage to continue.
He does indeed. Oh, that. I'm trying to figure out who that was that he just made contact with there. That might have been our leader. Yeah, that was Leskala.
Unbelievable.
Just a slight contact, so I think Yuko's got a relatively clean car here.
Leskala lets Mudrack go and then ends up making contact. That kind of contact can really negatively affect a GTO. If it ends up damaging the drivetrain a little bit, it can affect the four-wheel drive. And Yuko is getting really held up by Oren Laskin right now. He's able to get by. This is Dennis Shaning, who's tucked in behind him as well. So Dennis is going to go by. But keep our eyes on Yuko's lap time. If they start to drop, Ove Traingrade might be back in this. Yeah, this is where that gap that Yuko was able to pull could wind up critical. It's about 3 seconds currently between himself and the Finn. And yeah, we just saw a shot of him in the background as he flashed by, watching the 3 complete this lap, looking to start lap number 19 as he comes down the pit straight. That is Jeff McConey actually directly behind him right now. He's going to easily work his way around the outside. An update on the chase between Hovdahl and Jungbluth. It's down to 2 seconds. And Hovdahl is actually on fire. My goodness, he ran a 106.6 last time. Compared that to Jungbluth, a 107.6, a full second quicker. Yeah, these two guys are, they're definitely in a very interesting position right now. With Schneider just tucked in behind Hovdahl, and Jungbluth that problem. He's off track. No, he's getting held up by the GTOs. I just saw him dropping time, hemorrhaging time. I thought he was off track, but look at this. This is a big battle for the 12th position in the GTOs that's happening. That's Lotus Olsen off track as well. So quite a few GTPs and GTOs having trouble right now.
Well, the time that he lost is given right back for a moment. Still, Hovdal trying to chase on you. Hideki Koivisto, a lapped GTP. It's a different story trying to get by them, but it looks like Hideki sees it. He's going to let them by easily. Hovdal tries to steal a little bit of that slipstream from him. It's down to 0.8 of a second now. Jungbluth can now see him in his mirrors.
And right up ahead of these guys, they have a battle for Yuri Giesen and Ben Laughter for 4th position. The GTOs side by side. They're coming up on right now. Yuri's trying to run the outside on Ben Laughter, and this is Fabian Jungbluth just getting held up behind. This has closed that gap to Hovdal and Schneider, and it's going to be 3 wide as they go into 1. Yuri and Ben still battling side by side. This is now going to hold up Matthias Hovdal, who can't get by.
Oh, and look at Nick Schneider.
No way!
Whoa!
He hangs onto it!
He takes the spot with one of the bravest moves I've seen in a while, up into Clayton where you can't see where you're going, and he threads the needle. Let's watch this one more time.
I don't know if this is brave or stupid, Joe, but he pulls it off regardless. Watch this move here. He's going to see Hovdal get held up. He's going to make his move right through the middle of these two GTOs. There's a closing door there, and he does get clipped by Ben Laughter, is loose as he goes down the corner and hangs onto it. There's still a battle
and send it. Yeah, look at this.
There's still a battle in the GTOs between Yuri Giesen and Ben Laughter. Ben's trying to get the position back from Giesen. Here we go around the outside. Look at Giesen loose. He clips the curve just a little bit, almost washes out into Ben. Ben's still trying to hang on to it. Does he have the overlap into the next corner? No, but here's Michael de Turk, who's going to try and split this battle up, and he's going to do so. Oh, almost contact between Ben. That is as close as you can get with the hitbox for the Nissan.
As sometimes happens in the Kamel series, the battle is decided by traffic. Giesen up to 4th. Yuri, another one I don't think we've seen running this high in quite some time, as Lotus Olsen picks his way through. Ben Laughter, I'm sure he's going to want to come back at that and not want to let that one sit.
Yeah, so Ben Laughter looks like he's a little bit offline. He's struggling with tire temp at this point. Things down, but look at this. Yuri Giesen offline as they head towards Moss. So both of these guys struggling with some tire temperature right now, trying to hang on to these cars. They still have 13 minutes to go. Be careful not to wear out the tires anymore, or else they're going to have real trouble hanging on to their lines.
Not missing anything up at the front. Trangrade has actually dropped time from Leskala, so I don't think that damage hurt Yuko at all. This is our closest fight in the GTOs currently, just outside of the podium positions. Down into 8. They're not going to be side by side this time, however. Also, I'm keeping half an eye on Jungbluth, Schneider, and Hovdal. We'll give a shout if that one gets close enough.
And you know, it'd be remiss of me, Joe, not to mention the fact that Joni Kaishinen is missing from this field today. This means that the points championship is going to swing in the opposite direction for him. He's probably going to end up in 5th after today. My guess is that from our intel, it looks like Dirty Torque was making a try at the Bathurst 12 hour. Didn't go super well, but it's possible that he was on board with that as well.
Yeah, considering the championship was over, I don't blame him. Once again, up to the battle for 3rd in the prototypes. Schneider behind by about a second. Hovdal as well, equidistant behind that. Oh, and just behind him, we don't have to go to it, but I can report that Michael de Turk is losing positions as he spun it in Moss Corner.
Yeah, it's a self-spin. Ooh, I'll get there eventually. A self-spin from de Turk, and he ends up back in 7th position. These guys, I mean, Nicholas Schneider, he's starting to run out of tires himself. Fabian Jungbluth has been a little bit more conservative on his. It's going to be hard for him to get by. He's going to have to hope for that this battle between, well, not battle, but he's going to have to hope that, that Tupola does not hold him up too much as he has to go around the outside here. Next up is going to be Pablo Rangel. There should catch him probably at the end of the straightaway.
And We've seen how quick Hovdal is, especially in comparison to Schneider. So I'm wondering if this is going to be another easy pass for him. Well, I say easy. He had to make a brave move around the outside last time. Hovdal on the slipstream, riding into the tire tracks as we watch him on board, looking over his shoulder. Up ahead, you can catch glances of Jungbluth. He doesn't want to lose too much time to him. A little bit of a drift across from Schneider, just making Hovdal second guess himself, and he backs out of it.
Schneider saying, no, Hovdal, I got this. We can get him. Just hang on. We'll get there.
He gained on Jungbluth on that run, just a little bit up the Andretti straight. So I think you're right. I think Schneider has visions of a podium himself.
Oh, absolutely, Schneider does. But he's going to have to hold off Hovdal while trying to catch up to Jungbluth. That's Pablo Rangel going off track there as they go down through that sweeping left-hander. So everyone's still hanging on to this thing, but Jungbluth is proving to be a formidable foe. Even though he doesn't have the speed to stay ahead of these guys, he does have the on-track knowledge and the wit to stay ahead of these guys.
There's a bobble from Schneider and another one as he goes off course. Hovdal says, thank you very much. That spot is mine. Let's take another look at it here. And I can tell you, even though he was in the slipstream, Schneider's not looking quick enough right now. Good catch there from the 6.
Yeah, so Schneider looked like he possibly could get an overlap, but he actually backed out to let Hovdal stay ahead. Make sure not to battle each other. I think they're both very intent on trying to catch up to this number 10 machine ahead of them. Look at this. Hovdal's going to go straight by Max Payday Thompson. Thompson's going to have to go to the apex. He actually lets Schneider have it. So both of them able to get through. But once again, Hovdal and Schneider now about 2 seconds behind.
Oh, that was De Thomason in the background with another wreck. He's already had some woes today, and that just adds to it.
Yeah, putting the GTO offline there, really, it's so hard to go through that corner. It's such a flat corner compared to all the rest of them. So that's why we see De Thomason off there.
Back up to the number 4. Jungbluth coming up to lap Ryan Shanahan now, so he's going to get a nice tow from the GTO up the straight. You can see Hovdal in the background trying his best to gain.
And Joe, I figured out why Fabian Jungbluth is slow on the straights. He has some nose damage, and I saw some GTP drivers talking about this before the race. If you get nose damage around here, that Andretti straight becomes a real deadly place to lose time. And so that front end damage is really affecting him, I think, and that's why you see him being so aggressive with the traffic.
McGill staying off and out of the way. He's offline, but he's going to be a little bit safer than what we saw from Thomason. Still checks up once again. Hovdal and Schneider not able to get the luck with this traffic. Jungbluth, whatever he's done to appease the racing gods, they are smiling on him today.
Yeah, just an update on our lead. Oh, Yuri Giesen's had a problem.
Oh no, after getting up to 4th, he throws it away and falls to 6th. And,
I don't know if he threw this away.
No.
This is contact.
Yeah, McConey going to get into him, unfortunately. There you see the yellow and black car coming up.
Just too much of an overlap. We're going to see it right here. Just got his nose in, ends up sending Yuri off track. Him and Yuri both off track. Fortunately, not too much damage for these guys and no contact with the wall. They both should be okay, but Hovdal has caught up to Jungbluth finally.
Right, the battle is on. This is for the last step on the podium with only 7 minutes to go. They're approaching Hamill Smith now, along with Yuri Giesen. Way around the outside, and then Hovdal's a little bit more circumspect. He loses some time. Once again, Nick Schneider thinks about repeating his move from before, but then decides against it.
And Hovdal gets held up again by Yuri Giesen, who's still trying to recover from his particular incident. That was really close between those two drivers. I don't think Yuri is feeling particularly happy to deal with the GTPs at the moment, but Hovdal is going to have to be a little bit more aggressive if he wants to catch up to Jungbluth, because Jungbluth is really cutting and weaving through these Audis, and Hovdal is being very cautious, which is keeping him in his position. But if he wants that last step of the podium, he's going to have to start cutting and weaving like Jungbluth is.
Goodness, heart was in my throat for a moment. Get a nice little run on the back of Miguel Castro. My goodness, how did Castro get in 5th? after going off into the back of the field at the start of this race. Great job by the number 8 to stick with it, and he's going to net himself a good finish in spite of things.
Yeah, wrecking at the beginning of the race can actually be the best thing for you, especially at a chaotic track like this one. With the amount of DNFs and the amount of slow cars that we have on track right now, the Gelcast are doing a great job. But look at this, Jungbluth, once again, losing time to Hovdal, who's really struggling to get through the traffic, getting to go around the outside of Oren Laskin. And there you see Jungbluth just running away in the distance.
On board. Yeah, it's just been back and forth. At times he's right on him, and at times it's this 1.5 second gap with now 5 minutes left to go. They're coming upon Roman Pavlowski, and they don't have many of the GTOs in front of them. That's the good news. The bad news is, I think if they catch them, it's going to be Trangrade and Thomason on possibly the last lap.
5 minutes to go. We're going to take a look at our leaders. Cy Andra with a 7.5 second lead over Fabian Gerber. Ever since he made that pass, he's just proven that whatever setup he has underneath him is definitely doing better favors for him than Gerber's is. And these are the tracks that he likes, so it makes no surprise to me to see him up there at the lead as he's trying to navigate past a couple of our slower lap down machines. Yuko Leskala, similar story from him and Ove Trangrade. It just seems like this particular track, well, actually, that was Yuko that Sciantra was navigating around. Yuko Leskala just seems to have an understanding of this track that Ove does not. 14 seconds is the gap from him to Ove.
Right on board with the Finn. Already the champion for Season 1 in 2021. Just trying to put a nice little cap on things in the penultimate round. And Cy Andra, who we were watching, will be looking for win number 4. He might win the battle, but he's going to lose the war here today, as Fabian Gerber, as he sits, will be our champion as long as they finish in this order. Another lap ticked off. We're going to glance back at Jungbluth, and Hovdal has run him down once again. It's less than half a second. And they're coming upon Jeff McConey, another of our lapped GTBs.
Yeah, I look at Hovdal right behind Jungbluth, and I wonder, like, what's the thing that's going to make him drop back this time? What's the traffic that's going to upset him? Jungbluth looking for a way to go around McConey. McConey's going to take the apex away from Jungbluth there. This is going to hold up Jungbluth. This might be the opportunity that Hovdal needs. He's going to try and go around the outside of McConey, who's not going to give him the apex. This is going to slow him up a little bit once again.
Looked like he was trying to get off the line. Unfortunately, couldn't make the car disappear. But Hovdal staying within about 0.6 of a second. He's not lost too much.
This is going to be the best shot he's had off of Moss.
Does he have enough? Oh, he might. He might. We know he's quick. Hovdal starts to pick up speed, and he's already gaining a little bit. Here we go. Oh my goodness, he is much faster. That straight line speed from the damage is just atrocious, and the 10 has nothing to defend with. Hovdal easily into third.
Unfortunately, that was just written on the wall. Jungbluth, navigating the traffic well, was able to hang on to it up to this point, but Hovdal's gone by. Now, Nicholas Schneider is quite a ways back of this battle, so unless they get held up here by Yuko Leskala, our leader, which they are, Fabian Jungbluth is trying to make it 3 wide in turn 1. Yuko's just going to qualify and say, hey, I've got a lead. You guys go ahead.
Indeed, that brought things back together, but Jungbluth was not able to attack. Schneider as well, finding himself susceptible. The good news is Nick is well ahead of the next car down, which is Jamie Hall. About 8 seconds between them currently. Up and around Moss Corner. Hovdal, seeing Jungbluth in his mirrors, is going to see him get smaller and smaller as that number 4 starts to pick up pace. And indeed, look at how far behind Jungbluth is, and they're not even halfway along this straight.
Yeah, normally at this distance, the GTP would be gaining a little bit on the GTP ahead of it, but Jungbluth actually losing time because of that front end damage that he has. Hovdal, just with a slicker car, is able to pull away in those straightaways. Now through the turns, Jungbluth is gaining, but every time they get around straightaway, you will see Hovdal pull.
2 laps to go. Andra passed with about 1.5 minutes left. 7 to 8 seconds ahead of Fabian Gerber. just bringing this one home in second place with a nice podium to wrap up the season. Haven't really showed him a whole lot today ever since the start. He was on the pole, and I think this is exactly what he wanted, was a calm race at a track that is known for gobbling up cars.
This is a battle for position up ahead of them between Tobias Gerber and Dennis Schoening. That's Tobias on the left side of your screen and Schoening on the right side, and Schoening's just going to let Tobias go by. Fabian is also going to sneak by. Now the brothers are reunited once again, but Fabian is going to be lapping Tobias.
Not the race yet again that Tobias Gerber was looking for. And he's going to get held up a little bit by Jamie Hamill-Smith. Before he does that, though, he's going to let his brother by, nice and aware of the situation. Fabian able to continue on his way as we get the white flag now. And Andra is just bit by bit picking his way past each and every GTO, each and every prototype on this circuit. And this is one that I think is going to feel good for Cy Andre, even if he isn't going to have a chance at the championship anymore. A little slide in front of him from Miguel Castro, who caught the grass a little bit coming through that corner. But Cy Andre has gotten 3 wins on the season. At the start, it looked like he might have something in this as he was quite quick. He got a little bit of damage on his own. He's not going to let that one slow him down as he breaks down into turn 8 through the S's. Cy Andre chalks up win number 4 here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Nicely done by the driver from New England.
Take a look at this battle for third position in the GTPs, though. Hovdahl and Jungluth and Schneider all tucked in together. All Hovdahl has to do is take 2 more corners well, and he's got that last step on the podium, but he's got 2 cars breathing down his neck. He gets through that final corner, puts the power down cleanly. He's going to take third, Jungluth fourth, and Schneider fifth.
Let's head back to Leskala. Just a couple corners to go for him. He's going to put another lap on Pablo Rangel, who we see ahead of him. And Yuko Leskala, just what a season here for him. This will be win number 9 for the number 3. Just incredible stuff. Victory today in Canada for the Finn.
Guess Pablo wanted, yes, so good victory for Yuko there. And fantastic job from him to stay ahead there. Ove Trenkrad coming home, just now coming through the last couple of corners, 18 seconds back. Just a tough day for Ove to try and make it up there.
Once again, as close as he was for a while, it all fell apart in the end. And Pawlowski going to wrap up third in that field. That's the rest of our battles as everybody else trickles across the line. We're going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing channel. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Cy Andra took the victory here today in the Kamel GT race, the penultimate round of the season. Fabian Gerber finished behind him, but that's all he needed, as we believe that wraps up the championship for him. Matthias Hovdahl took third, climbing up from 10th with Fabian Jungbluth in P4. Nick Schneider was 5th, and Jamie Hall was 6th. And it's Michael de Turk coming back from some issues, wounding up in 7th. Last one in the lead lap was Jacob Leon in 8th. Tobias Gerber started on row 2 and still only able to get 9th today. Dennis Shaning was 10th, and Marty Ollie in 11th. Then you've got Jeff McConey in 12th, Joseph Mudrak in 13th, Hideki Koivisto 14th, and Laus Stolzen, the last of the finishers, in P15.
Yuka Leskala takes the win today over Ove Trangrade by 17 seconds. Ove just not able to catch up to Yuko. Roman Pavlowski comes home in 3rd position with Ben Laughter in 4th and Miguel Castro 5th. This is going to be a very interesting point story as we go into the final round to see where everyone shakes out, especially with Yoni Kajanen not here. Then we have Yuri Giesen, who comes home in 6th with Jim McGill 7th and Jamie Hamill-Smith in the 8th position. Pablo Rangel's going to come home in 9th for these guys with Maximete Thomason in 10th. Mika Tupola had a bad day, unfortunately, coming home in the 11th spot. Last car on the lead lap for the Audis. Then Oren Laskin's going to come home in the 12th position, and he's the last real runner that we had out there. Brian Shanahan, Ricardo Tolley, and Reed Miller had big troubles and ended up DNFing.
Looks like we've got our winner in the prototypes ready to talk to us, Cy Andra. Cy, congratulations. A decisive move at the start. That seems to have made a big difference today.
I knew that Fabian had a strong set towards the middle and the end of the race. I only had an advantage at the beginning, because if you saw throughout the race, the gap was exactly the same. I'd go through traffic, it'd get smaller, then he'd go through traffic, and it'd be exactly the same on the other side. So I knew I had to be aggressive early to have any hope of winning this race.
Well, it certainly looked like it paid off handsomely. This will put you tied on wins with Fabian, but from our calculations, he just wrapped up the championship with that 2nd place. Can you do one more and finish with more wins next week at the ring?
We'll have to see. The ring is always unforgiving, and it's going to be a difficult track to set up for in the Nissans, particularly with how high those curbs are. So it's going to be a question of, do you play it safe, keep the car high, and lose a little bit of pace in the corners, or, keep the car low like you usually would and run sort of medium downforce to take advantage of those straight lines. It's going to be tough, and honestly, I don't have the answer right now.
Yeah, I think that'll be a hard one to predict for sure. Regardless, what was the traffic like out there today? We kind of expected coming into Mosport that there was going to be a little bit of chaos.
Absolutely. I think the first time through traffic is what sealed the win for me, because if I had a worse run through there, Fabian would have been right there. But it gave me some buffer room, sort of work with traffic and be a little bit more patient than I otherwise would.
Well, glad to see you back on the top step once again, and congratulations. Is there anybody you'd like to thank for this victory?
Well, as always, thanks for Fabian and Matthias. We kind of shared setups to everybody and between us as well. And that's the great thing about this community. I mean, you can always peek at what other people are doing. I'm willing to share. It's not some big secret as to what the best setups are. They're always being shared. So the community, basically.
That's great to hear. We love that about this close-knit group of drivers. But that was Cy Andra, who won today. We have just off the podium in the GTOs, Ben Laughter finishing 4th, and Adam has caught up with him.
Yeah, Ben, you had an exciting day for sure, especially in the middle of the race battling with Yuri Giesen side by side going into the last couple of turns of the course. Talk to me about that battle with Yuri.
Oh, that was a good time. Good time. Yuri, it's been a while since he and I have been wheel to wheel like that, and it was a lot of fun, really refreshing. That segment of the race, I was physically saddened to see him off in the grass late in the race, but a great battle. I really enjoyed that. Thanks to Yuri.
Yeah, it was such a great thing to see you battling with him, and also a great finish for you. It looked like we had some attrition at the front of the field, and it seemed like a lot of that was caused by some of the lap traffic. How was the lapping today?
The first time through, it was atrocious. After that, it got better. When the Nissans were all clumped together, there were some very poor decisions made. But after that, when it got spread out a little bit, there was some give and take, and it was way, way better. But that first time through, man, guys got to make better calls.
And, Ben, over the course of the season, it sure seems like your pace and consistency has been improving. Coming into the final round of this season and looking towards next season, what are your hopes going into next season in the machine?
Man, if I can be a top 3, top 4 contender in this series, then I'm doing something right. This is a super talented group of guys, and I don't know that I'll ever find Yuko's home planet and figure out what he's doing. But if I can be in this top 5 battle consistently, I'm pretty happy. So I'm happy to see my name up in the top of the standings here, at least for now, until other guys get back to it.
Absolutely, Ben. And in case we don't get a chance next week, who do you want to thank for your top 5 today and the season?
Yuri, anyone I can go with, side by side, 2-3 laps in a row, wheel to wheel like that, and not make a bit of contact. Thank you for that awesome little fight. That was great.
Well, that was Ben Laughter, who finished 4th in the GTOs. And next up, we have Fabian Gerber, who's going to talk to Joe, and he came home in 2nd in the GTPs.
Indeed, and that 2nd place, by our calculations, Fabian, clinches the championship for you. Congratulations. How does it feel?
Oh, thank you very much. I wasn't actually sure during the race. I just read maybe it's 9th is enough, so I was driving this way too, I thought at least, and I'm actually really happy about it, but I'm still a bit frustrated because the race was not so much fun because of traffic. I had the virtual roadblocks in front of me, and it just took away the chance to actually race Sai. So I just settled for 2nd after a while. That's not the way you want to win a championship, but sometimes it's like that. So in the end, I'm really glad I clinched this championship. It was a tough season.
Well, knowing that, I was just talking to Sai that he's tied up on wins with you. So obviously, I'm sure as well, you don't want to win the championship being less on wins. Do you think you can take it to him next week at the ring?
I'm not sure. I'm really not an expert from the Nürburgring, and I'm not really that fond of it. It's of course a big challenge and has a great history, but for actually racing, it's difficult, and there's a lot of practice involved, and so I don't think so. I just have to improve maybe some worse result from my non-drop week, so I don't expect to win next week. No, to be honest.
Well, sounds realistic, I suppose. Talk to us about the start of the race, though. It looked like Andra kind of got the jump on you.
Yes, he had more downforce, I thought at least, so I expect him to be faster in the beginning, but I expected him to get some more damage late in the race, so I wasn't too worried about that, to be honest, and I actually thought we could race by the end because I had less wing, so I could actually overtake. But traffic came in between. I lost 7 seconds during the first time through the Audis. He could pass on the straight 2 groups of side-by-side Audis, and I had them in front of me in the S's. So that was it about the race. So I really would like. That's why I was so frustrated, because I really would like have seen a good race between him and myself.
Certainly would have added to the excitement. I can promise you when you go back and watch, we had plenty to cover, though. Again, congratulations on 2nd, and can't wait to see you in Germany.
Thank you so much. See you next week. Bye-bye.
This is Fabian Gerber, our 2nd place finisher here today. And then up next, Adam has caught up with Matthias Hovdahl with a fantastic 3rd.
Yeah, Matthias, fantastic job today. A hard-fought 3rd place, and even on the last lap, it didn't look like it was quite a done deal. But talk to me about trying to catch up to Fabian Jungbluth and the traffic today.
Yeah, traffic was really, really challenging today. There's so many corners on this track where it all comes down to timing, which side you take. There's a lot of corners where you go around the outside if you catch the Audi in the middle, but in the inside if you catch them before, and it's just really difficult to manage. And of course, if you get it wrong once, you're gonna end your race or screw up your car. So I had to be really careful, and I ended up losing some spots sometimes, and sometimes I gained a bit. But yeah, it was really tough.
Yeah, absolutely. And before that, you had a very tight battle with Nicholas Schneider as well. The two of you guys who tend to trim out your machines a little bit and go for that top speed. You guys were swapping places on the back straightaway and challenging each other into that long right-hander afterward.
Yeah, it was a good battle. I think maybe he picked up a little bit more damage than me. That was kind of one of the key things in the Nissan this week, I think. Going down the hill in turn 4, the front end tends to get kind of bruised. So I think out of the top 5, I was just looking through all the cars after the race. I was the car with the least damage. And I set my fastest lap right at the end as well. So I think that's what tipped it in my favor in the end with Nicholas there. And also with Fabian, because he had a lot of damage, I saw.
Speaking of damage and favor, next week we head to the Nordschleife. What are your thoughts heading into the final round of the season, being at such a long and challenging course that's usually full of attrition?
Yeah, so unfortunately I have a league race that day, so I can't make it, which really sucks because the Nordschleife is a fantastic track, and especially on this car, it's a real challenge. So I'm a bit bummed about that, but yeah, hopefully I'll get to try it some other time.
Well, in that case, Matthias, I want to give you an opportunity to thank anyone you'd like to for your top 3 finish today and your season.
Yeah, today I think I'd like to thank the Audis for leaving room, occasionally and being cooperative. I think it was a tough race for them, as much as it was for us, maybe even worse. So, yeah, thanks to the Audis.
Well, thank you, Matthias, and we look forward to seeing you next season.
Yeah.
That was Matthias Hovdahl, our 3rd place finisher in the GTPs. Back to you, Joe.
That's going to close out our interviews and wrap up the show today. Before we go, though, a big thank you to the Kamel GT community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. Also, we give thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thank yous to Julie Laund, who provides our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get hold of more of her great work. And thanks to the team today, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. If you'd like to support the channel, go check out our merchandise store at gsrc.storeenvy.com. We got a link in the description below, so it's nice and easy to find. As we mentioned, the next race at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. That'll be Saturday, March 6th at noon Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar, including later today, the Bootleg Racing League's Grand National Series heads off to Myrtle Beach. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern. Until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.